Today, we're going to teach you how to swim. I'm just kidding. It's going to be a PSA on change blindness, baby.
Good day, students of Newberry College. Most of you might think you're attentive, but let us change your mind. Here's our PSA on change blindness.
Perception is the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. Change blindness is an aspect of perception in which large changes in scenes go unnoticed. Observers fail to notice large changes because the brain cannot possibly process every element of an experience and has to prioritize what it believes to be most important.
Although change blindness has provided insights into the nature of visual attention, it has also provided insights into other aspects of visual perception and the role that attention plays in them. For example, it is believed that the initial stage of visual perception, early vision, involves simple visual elements created rapidly and in parallel across the visual field. Because these elements are believed to have a fleeting existence, existing only as long as light continues to enter the eye, the role of attention was sometimes seen as one of the welding of these elements into complexes that are more durable. These complexes then accumulate, providing a representation that are both dense and coherent.
There are a number of theories about what causes a person's inability to recognize obvious changes in their environment, but most agree that the phenomenon is related to sensory processing. Broadly speaking, our brains have a limited capacity to detect and process everything in our environment. Instead, what the brain does is choose certain things to process, evaluate, and store, which allows other things to be missed or filtered out.
But change blindness experiments show that only a few coherent complexes exist with relatively little detail in each. It may be that no representations exist that are both highly detailed and coherent. To reconcile this with coherent, detailed picture of the world that we experience, it has been proposed that scene perception is based on a sparse, dynamic, just-in-time system that creates object representations when and only when they are needed. Okay, during change blindness, everything about your visual system is intact and functioning the same. Information, it enters your visual system the same and is processed by the retina in the same way and enters the primitive parts of the brain all in the same way. But the inputs encounter like a tight bottleneck that causes you to miss the obvious unless you know where to focus beforehand.
One of the most compelling impressions in everyday life is that wherever we look, we see everything that is happening in front of us, much like a camera. But this impression is deceiving. In reality, our senses are bombarded by continual waves of stimuli, triggering an avalanche of sensation that far exceed the brain's capacity. To make sense of the world, the brain needs to determine which sensations are the most important for our current goals, focusing resources on the ones that matter and throwing away the rest. These compensations are astonishingly complex, and what makes attention even more remarkable is just how effortless it is. The attention system is perhaps the most efficient and precisely tuned junk filter we know of.
Change blindness is why we tend to notice continuity errors in film, why many traffic accidents arise, and can help explain the unreliability of eyewitness testimony.
In order to study the effects of change blindness on our campus, we designed a little experiment. In the experiment, I would go up to somebody random passing by, hand them my phone, and ask them to take a photo of myself and another member of my group. As the person was distracted with the task of taking a photo of us, another member of the group would walk by with a kiddie pool, blocking off the random person's line of sight. While their sight was blocked, two of us would switch places, and the other person would keep walking with the kiddie pool. The goal was to see if the random person had noticed the switch.
Can you take a picture of us?
Ready?
Yep.
Alright, 3. Wait, hold up. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, you actually took pictures? I love it. That's so funny.
Today, we're gonna teach you how to swim.
He's freezing. Well, it didn't work.
Yeah, it was unsuccessful because due to lack of resources and, it kind of looks stupid. Somebody walking by with a random kiddie pool and whatnot.
And the kiddie pool was way too small to begin with. Like, you could see half the person, and it just made the switch kind of obvious because there wasn't enough people to carry a larger object.
And there wasn't enough people around to draw attention
and help distract.
away and distract.
My arm is spazzing. Okay.
Convenient pigeons. Pigeons have changed blindness. Did you know that? No. Hits the blunts one time. Who's past 420 can't do it.
But I wasn't ready.
Me and my homies, we about to roll up. Can I give your chest a peek?
Was sometimes seen as one of the welding of these elements into complexes that are more durable. These complexes then accumulate, providing a representation that are both dense and coherent. Oh, yeah, that's it. We're gonna chop that.
Just-in-time system that creates object representations when and only when they are needed.
Only when.
I didn't read it. I didn't finish reading. That was a lot, though. Oh.
Bad things. It's a lot of bad things that they wish and they wish.
Okay, so next time for our experiment, we could not use the kiddie pool, use something bigger and have more people around to kind of, draw the attention away.
And more people to carry whatever object it is, because it's hard with one person carrying it to make the switch. It just makes the switch really kind of obvious. Are you going to speak?
Okay.
30 seconds, that's all we need.